Every parent and teacher must watch this video and subscribe to this channel for visibility to the world. Miss Evelyn was a kind and caring teacher. She loved her job and always wanted the best for her students. One day, something very strange happened. David, a 10-year-old boy in her class, gave her a beautiful gold necklace. "This is for you, Miss Evelyn," David said with a big smile. Miss Evelyn was surprised. "David, where did you get this? This must be very expensive." David just smiled and said, "I just want to make you happy. You are my favorite teacher." The next day, David brought her a brand new handbag. The day after that, he gave her a fancy wristwatch. Every day, he came with gifts, and each one was more expensive than the last. Miss Evelyn became worried. How could a little boy afford such things? He was only 10 years old. She did not want to hurt his feelings, but she knew something was wrong. Then something even more shocking happened. One afternoon, when all the students had left the classroom, David walked up to her and said, "Miss Evelyn, I love you. When I grow up, I want to marry you." Miss Evelyn's eyes widened in shock. "David, you are still a child. You don't know what you're saying." David frowned. "But I can take care of you. I have money. I can buy you anything you want." Miss Evelyn knew this was serious. Where was he getting all this money? Why did he think that giving gifts meant love? She decided she would not ignore this. She needed to find out the truth, but she had to be careful. David was just a child, and she did not want to hurt him. As she thought about what to do, she heard whispers from the other students. "David must be stealing money," one student said. "Maybe he did a money ritual," another one whispered. Even some teachers began to talk. "Miss Evelyn is a bad influence on the boy," one teacher said. Miss Evelyn sighed. She knew people would misunderstand, but she had a plan. She would not turn her back on David. She was going to help him, no matter what it took. The next morning, when Miss Evelyn walked into the classroom, she could feel the stares. Some students whispered to each other, and a few giggled as they looked at her and David. "I heard David gave her a gold necklace," one student whispered. "Maybe she is accepting his love," another one said, covering their mouth to hide a laugh. Miss Evelyn sighed. She knew the rumors were getting worse. Even some of the other teachers were giving her strange looks in the staff room. "This is not good," she thought. "If people believe these lies, David and I will both be in trouble." Later that day, Miss Evelyn decided to talk to David. When the school bell rang, she called him to her desk. "David, I need to ask you something important," she said softly. "Where do you get all this money to buy expensive gifts?" David hesitated, looking down at his shoes. "I just have money," he mumbled. "David, please tell me the truth," she said kindly. "I am not angry. I just want to help you." David looked around to make sure no one was listening. Then he whispered, "My parents have a lot of money. They don't care what I do with it. They never ask." Miss Evelyn's heart sank. Now she understood. David's parents were rich, but they didn't have time for him. He was lonely and thought buying gifts would make people love him. "David, money can't buy love," she said gently. "You don't need to give me gifts for me to care about you." David's face fell. "But I just want someone to notice me. My parents never do." Miss Evelyn felt sad for him. She realized that this was bigger than just expensive gifts. David needed love, attention, and guidance. She promised herself that she would not give up on him. But she also knew that trouble was coming. The rumors were spreading, and soon, things would get even worse. The next day, just as Miss Evelyn was getting ready for her class, she was called to the principal's office. Her heart started beating fast. She had a feeling she knew why she was being called. When she arrived, she saw two other teachers sitting inside. The principal, Mr. Adams, looked at her with a serious face. Miss Evelyn, I have been hearing some disturbing reports, he said. Some teachers and students say that you have been receiving expensive gifts from David. Is this true? Miss Evelyn took a deep breath. Yes, Sir David has been giving me gifts, but I never asked for them. I was trying to find out where he got the money. One of the teachers shook her head. People are saying you are encouraging him. Some even think you have feelings for him. Miss Evelyn felt her face get hot. That is not true. I would never do such a thing. I only want to help David. He is lonely and needs guidance. The principal nodded. I believe you, but this situation is getting out of hand. His parents need to know what is happening. Miss Evelyn agreed. I would like to meet his parents. They need to understand what is going on with their son. Mr. Adams sighed. That is the problem. David's parents are very busy. His father is a politician, and his mother runs a big business. They rarely have time to come to school. Miss Evelyn frowned. That explains a lot. David told me that they never ask him what he does with his money. He just wants their attention. The principal tapped his fingers on the desk. We will try to call them again. In the meantime, Miss Evelyn, please be careful. The rumors are spreading, and people might not understand your good intentions. Miss Evelyn nodded. She knew this would not be easy, but she was not going to give up on David. She had to help him no matter what. Miss Evelyn knew she had to find out more about David's life. That evening, she decided to visit the neighborhood where he lived. She wanted to see for herself what kind of home he had. When she arrived, she saw a big, beautiful house with tall gates. The house was grand, but it felt empty. She knocked on the gate, and an old security man opened it. Good evening, sir, I am David's teacher. Is anyone home? She asked politely. The security man shook his head. David's parents are never home. They travel a lot. He is usually alone with the housemaids. Miss Evelyn felt a deep sadness in her heart. No wonder David felt so lonely. He had everything except the love of his parents. As she was about to leave, she saw David sitting alone in the garden, staring at the sky. David, she called gently. He looked up, surprised to see her. Miss Evelyn, what are you doing here? I came to see how you are doing, she said. Can we talk? David hesitated, then nodded. Miss Evelyn knew this was her chance to help him understand what truly mattered in life. Miss Evelyn sat beside David in the school garden. The sun was setting, and the air was cool. Birds chirped softly in the trees. David, Miss Evelyn said gently, can we talk? David nodded but looked away. He seemed sad. You have been giving me many gifts, she continued. But do you know what love really means? David frowned. Love means making people happy. That's why I buy you gifts. I want you to be happy, Miss Evelyn. Miss Evelyn smiled kindly. Love is not about buying things. Love is about caring for someone, listening to them, and being there for them. David was quiet for a moment. But my parents buy me many things. They say they love me. Miss Evelyn sighed. Yes, but love is also about spending time with someone. Have you ever wished your parents would sit with you and talk? David lowered his head. Yes. I wish they would. Miss Evelyn gently placed a hand on his shoulder. You see, love is not something you can buy with money. It is something you show by being kind, patient, and understanding. David looked up at her. So, you don't like my gifts? Miss Evelyn shook her head. I don't need gifts to care about you, David. I care about you because you are my student and I want the best for you. David blinked, thinking about what she had said. I think I understand now, he whispered. Miss Evelyn smiled. That's good. You are a smart boy, and I am here to help you learn what is right and wrong. David took a deep breath. Miss Evelyn, will you help me? Of course, David, she said. You are not alone. As they sat in the garden, Miss Evelyn knew her job was not over. But for the first time, David was beginning to understand the true meaning of love. The next morning, David walked into the classroom feeling different. For the first time, he wasn't carrying an expensive gift for Miss Evelyn. Instead, he had a small notebook and a pencil in his hands. Miss Evelyn smiled when she saw him. "Good morning, David," she greeted. "Good morning, Miss Evelyn," David replied, sitting down quietly. The other students noticed. "Hey, David didn't bring a gift today," one whispered. "Maybe he ran out of money," another giggled. David heard them, but he didn't feel upset. He now knew that love wasn't about giving gifts. During lunch break, David sat alone thinking. He felt embarrassed about how he had acted before. He wanted to do something different, something good. After school, instead of going home right away, he went to Miss Evelyn's desk. "Miss Evelyn," he said, "can you teach me how to be kind in the right way?" Miss Evelyn smiled warmly. "Of course, David. Kindness comes from the heart, not from money. Let's start by helping others." That afternoon, Miss Evelyn asked him to help some younger students with their reading. At first, David felt unsure, but as he sat with them and read stories, he felt happy. The children laughed and listened carefully. One of them, a little girl, looked up at him and said, "Thank you, David. You are so nice." David felt a warm feeling in his heart. It was different from when he gave gifts. This time, he felt truly happy. As he walked home that day, he thought to himself, maybe Miss Evelyn was right. Maybe love is about caring, not buying things. That night, he didn't feel lonely. He felt proud. And for the first time, he didn't wish for more money. He wished for more moments like today. A few days later, Miss Evelyn received an unexpected message from the school principal. "David's parents are coming to school today," Mr. Adams said. "They want to discuss their son." Miss Evelyn's heart skipped a beat. Finally, she thought. Later that afternoon, a black luxury car pulled up in front of the school. A tall man in a suit stepped out, David's father. Beside him was a well-dressed woman holding a phone, David's mother. They looked important, but their faces seemed distant, as if they were in a hurry. Inside the office, Mr. Adams greeted them. "Thank you for coming. We need to talk about David." David's father sighed. "What did he do? Is he in trouble?" Miss Evelyn spoke gently. "Not trouble, sir, but concern. David has been using money to get attention. He's been buying expensive gifts, thinking that's how to show love." David's mother raised an eyebrow. "But we give him everything he wants. He has the best clothes, toys, and gadgets." Miss Evelyn nodded. "That's true, ma'am. But do you give him your time?" David's parents exchanged glances. "We are very busy," his father admitted. "We work hard to provide for him." Miss Evelyn took a deep breath. "David told me that he feels lonely. He thinks that if he buys things for people, they will love him. But what he really wants is you. He needs his parents to talk to him, to listen to him, to spend time with him." David's mother looked away, suddenly quiet. His father rubbed his forehead. Mr. Adams added, "Miss Evelyn has been trying to help David understand right from wrong, but the best lesson must come from his parents." There was silence in the room. Then David's father sighed deeply. "I didn't realize." His mother wiped a small tear from her eye. "We thought giving him money was enough." Miss Evelyn smiled. "It's not too late. You can still show him love in the way he truly needs." Just then, David entered the office. He was surprised to see his parents. "Mom? Dad?" he asked. His mother put her phone away. His father stood up and held out his hand. "Come here, son." David hesitated, then walked toward them. To his surprise, his mother hugged him tightly. "We're so sorry, David," she whispered. "We love you, not because of what you buy, but because you are our son." David felt a lump in his throat. "Really?" His father nodded.
Yes.
"And from now on, we will spend more time together as a family." David smiled for the first time in a long while. Miss Evelyn watched the moment and felt warmth in her heart. She had done what she set out to do, help David find the love he truly needed. And at that moment, everything began to change for the better.